Welcome to the first Monday message of April 2015. True to form, I'm taping this the day before it's scheduled to be uploaded on Monday, April 6th. I hope to have done this outside, but unfortunately it's raining, so you view this as it's being taped from my home study. March for me really flew by, as I suspect it did for many of you, interrupted a bit by a spring break opportunity, and wish everyone had at least an opportunity to get away for some of the spring break for some renewal and refreshment. For me, the focus was on policy and funding. In many cases, I started the month with Ag Dean Dan Arp in Washington, D.C. We joined the Council of Agricultural Research, Extension, and Teaching and interacted with our federal congressional delegation and USDA principals. That's where our federal funds come through. And I'm happy to say that we continue to make some progress. At least federal funds are stable and growing slightly, especially in the competitive environment. Later in March, I joined the annual conference of the Family Community Health and 4-H Youth Development joint conference, a terrifically well attended and meaningful way that people update their skills and recognize each other's accomplishments. That is clearly growing to be nearly half of the entire Extension service, and it's always fun to spend time with some really motivated people. I attended my first meeting of the Extension Committee on Organization and Policy. I'm a relatively new member there and have been given the opportunity to chair a national committee of communications and marketing. So all of these things tie together and help to reinforce the role that Oregon plays on the national scene and the way in which we derive some of our resources from national sources. Most important in the last month was the startup of the Oregon legislative session. It's now in full swing, and which means that every day brings a new surprise and can't really tell what's going to happen from day to day and week to week. I was surprised and then reassured by the amount of support in this state for bringing back what's known as Outdoor School, which is a week-long residential camp for every sixth grader in the state. And there is meaningful support for reinstituting on a statewide basis Outdoor School. And based upon work done by a coalition and listening to Oregonians, they have concluded that the OSU Extension Service is the most credible statewide provider of Outdoor School if it were to come back in an organized and a systematic way. So we're deep into those conversations, and a month from now when I update you next, I should have more to say about that. Just Friday of this week, I spent all day at the coast in a retreat of the Marine Studies Initiative, something that OSU's strategic plan and our own president has committed to ramping up the significance of marine studies, including over time the development of a campus in Newport that would have as many as 500 people. For those of us in the outreach and engagement world, there's a subcommittee that is working on that topic along with partnerships, and the intent is to make the Marine Studies Initiative a true statewide effort of the university. So I'd welcome your thoughts and suggestions about some things that we might get ahead of the curve on, anticipating that in a state like Oregon, our marine environment is a very important one. April will be more of the same for me. The Salem hearing schedule actually starts next week, so several of us from OSU will be in Salem regularly in order to interact with the subcommittees of the Joint Ways and Means Committee. That's where funding is actually determined for our work on our state budget, which I think, as most people know, is the most significant part of the extension budget. Inside of the division, the largest kind of cash flow generators clearly are eCampus operations. Starting up in the next week will be interviews for the Vice President for Research. I offered to sit on that search committee because the scholarship of engagement is a growing important role for many universities, especially those of us at Oregon State who work in the field. And as this Vice President for Research is responsible for the growing number of centers and institutes at OSU, I expect and hope that engagement and engaged scholarship becomes a more meaningful part of the work done in those centers. So I'm happy for the opportunity to help recruit and select the next Vice President for Research. We're also about to launch another search. Now that Rebecca Badger has moved over to eCampus in a marketing position, we are developing a position announcement and will soon be seeking applicants for Division of Outreach and Engagement's communication and marketing leader. So you can watch for that to happen in the near future. There's also lots of preparation for activities next week. Beyond the legislative hearings, as important as they will be, we've reserved much of the week for outreach and engagement activities on the campus. Starting on Monday will be the Vice Provost Awards for Excellence Luncheon, and I look forward to seeing many of you there, especially the award winners, but all are certainly welcome. So hope you've registered for that lunch and the colloquium that follows. We have the former Chief Operating Officer of the state of Oregon, Michael Jordan is his name, who will spend the afternoon with us talking about data management systems for measuring our performance. On Tuesday is the second annual, what we hope will be an annual event called Extension Reconsidered. This year we're looking at humanitarian engineering in cooperation with the College of Engineering and some of our own people who have identified some ways that we can contribute to Oregon in that way, and that'll be the subject of conversations on Tuesday on campus. On Wednesday is the annual eCampus Faculty Forum, now a long-running annual activity that brings more OSU faculty to understand and participate in online offerings. Dave King shared a recent analysis with me done by a firm called EduVentures, which kind of looks at online evolution in the country. And they have identified a kind of a slowing growth in the online market, believe that it's maturing in some sectors at least. That's not been our experience in Oregon, where we continue to bring new programs and courses online. And so we have grown beyond the national average. But as this continues to evolve over time, it's real clear that the online market consists, according to EduVentures, in 3 different markets. And I'm happy to say OSU is a member of a fairly small elite group of online providers that consists of only 3% of those universities that are offering online work. And those 3% of the universities reach 45% of the entire student market. And as you might guess, if you followed the old adage of the 80-20 rule, only 20% of the online market and the learners are reached by 80% of the providers. So it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of the universities who provide online are reaching only 20% of the market, the relatively small kind of programs. We, on the other hand, through our growth and innovation, have come to occupy a very interesting and unique part of the market as well. Hope you're available next week. Maybe you could drop into the eCampus Faculty Forum and learn more about it. But whatever you do in the month of April, I hope it is productive and rewarding. I look forward to catching up with you again sometime soon.